The wind stirred the dust gently, carrying stories as softly as it moved through the cottonwoods. Caleb Warner leaned against his porch frame, sleeves rolled up, hands rough from the ranch work, hay and sweat crusted under his nails. The sun had just slipped behind the trees, leaving the world in that golden, almost sacred hush where everything holds its breath. Birds, men, even regrets. Caleb scratched behind Amos, his old cattle dog's ear, eyes fixed on the horizon like it owed him something he could never quite grasp. He lived alone, not out of tragedy, but because time had sifted through his life, leaving only what was stubborn or sacred. Caleb had become both. That evening, something shifted in the shadow of the pasture. 3 riders appeared, moving slow and deliberate, neither hiding nor rushing. They were Comanche, an older man, weathered and worn by years of wind and winters, and 2 women, one leading, the other watching sideways as if weighing the world itself. Caleb stepped off his porch but didn't reach for his rifle. He just watched. The older man stopped, nodded. "I'm Tacoma," he said, voice rough like river rock. "These are my daughters, Sonia and Amora." The names hung there, heavy and soft all at once. Caleb gave a curt nod. "What brings you here?" Tacoma dismounted carefully. Not war, not threat. Just a man watching another man live alone too long. Caleb's throat tightened. Those words dug deeper than they should have. "We come with an offer," the chief said, motioning to Sonia. "She's willing if you are." Silence felt like a prayer. Sonia didn't step forward or smile. She stood there, shoulders squared, dark hair braided thick, eyes like worn leather, quiet and guarded. "I don't need charity," Caleb said low. "It's not charity," Tacoma replied. "It's choice." The wind shifted, carrying his silent surrender. Not agreement, just the weight of a question Caleb never expected to face. Without another word, they set camp near the dry creek a few ridges east. That night, Caleb watched their shadows fade like dusk swallowing the day. Next morning, he found kindling stacked neatly by his porch and a folded cloth on the railing. Amos sniffed it and wagged his tail, but Caleb said nothing. By the 3rd morning, a satchel of ground corn appeared, embroidered with Comanche symbols, stars and waves stitched along the edge. Caleb ran his hand over the cloth, like it might answer him. Sonia never knocked or spoke, only appeared at dawn, walking the fence line to leave small gifts, vanishing before he could find the words to break her silence. Still, Caleb found himself shaving more, brushing his shirt, even leaving his door slightly ajar when before it was always locked tight. Those were no promises, but they were gestures. One morning, Amora lingered behind. Younger, curious, with a mischief barely hidden. "She won't ask again," she said plainly. "Not because she's proud, but because she's tired of begging in silence." "I never said yes," Caleb replied. "You never said no." That night, a cold swept in, not biting, but creeping. Caleb realized he hadn't lit the hearth in days. Somehow, something inside him had started warming without firewood. He looked out the window. Sonia was walking toward the ridge, moonlight catching the edge of her shawl. She didn't turn around. Next day, 3 wagons rolled in from town. Neighbors, men who once called Caleb brother, now looked at him like he'd lost his mind. "You talking to one of them?" One called out, laughing. "Didn't figure you for a Comanche lover." Another spat. Caleb said nothing, just stared them down. They rode off, dust rising behind them like cowardice on wheels. Sonia heard every word. She stood behind the barn, eyes downcast, face unreadable. That night, she didn't come. The morning after, neither did Amora. The ranch felt colder than ever. Caleb tried to keep up with chores, but even the water tasted like tin. He missed her silence, missed her hands that never touched, yet somehow fixed everything she left behind. He walked to their camp. Only Tacoma was there, smoking something sharp. "She won't come back," the chief said. "Not unless you bring her." "I said nothing wrong," Caleb muttered. "You said nothing," Tacoma replied. "Sometimes that's worse." Caleb didn't answer. He turned and walked home alone. That night, the storm came. Howling winds, sideways rain, lightning slashing the sky like ancient scars. Caleb ran out to check the stables. Then he saw it. Fire, real fire, engulfing the Comanche camp. Mud splattered his face as he galloped closer. The tent had collapsed, half burning, half soaked. Sonia was dragging her father from the flames. Amora screamed. Caleb leapt from his horse, ripped a beam off the side, tore through the fabric, and found Sonia clutching her shawl around Amora. Her hair soaked, face streaked with smoke, but no tears. He grabbed her hand. "You shouldn't be alone in a storm like this," he said softly. She looked at him. "I wasn't alone," she said. "You just hadn't arrived yet." He didn't answer, only wrapped his coat around her shoulders. His fingers lingered a moment longer than necessary. Together, they rebuilt the tent. Not perfect, not warm, but shelter. That night, Caleb sat beside her under patched canvas while Tacoma slept nearby. His breath was shallow, but steady. Sonia whispered, "They don't want me where you come from." "I'm not sure I want me where I come from either," Caleb said. She turned toward him, not close, just turned. "You're not a fire someone gives," he said. "You're a fire someone earns." Her hand brushed his. Not an invitation, but permission. No kiss, but it might as well have been. Morning came heavy and yellow. Caleb returned to the ranch, fetched a box. Inside, a ring his mother had worn through 2 wars and a sorrowful life. He walked back to the camp. Tacoma sat up slowly. Caleb murmured, "I didn't say yes before because I didn't understand what was being offered. I do now." The chief nodded once. Sonia stepped from the trees, drying her hands, wearing Caleb's old shawl, patched along the edge with the same stitching as the corn satchel. She approached, no smile, no question. Caleb held out the ring. She didn't take it, but reached for his hand, slid the ring onto her finger, and said only one word. "Now." They stood in silence. Amos barked once, a sharp crack of joy in the stillness. That night, Sonia stood on Caleb's porch, watching the moon rise over the ridge. Caleb came out with 2 mugs of boiled coffee. No toasts, no words, just the quiet between them. From that silence, something real began, something no one else had to understand. Not every love is loud. Some come like snow and spring, unexpected, quiet, and full of life. Sometimes it's not about finding the right person, but recognizing the quiet strength of someone who keeps showing up when the world says she shouldn't. That if you're lucky, one day you'll learn what Caleb did. That fire doesn't beg to be seen. It waits until you finally see it. If this story warmed something quiet inside you, share it with someone who still believes in slow love, quiet strength, and second chances. Tell me, have you ever met someone who turned your silence into warmth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more stories from the Wild West. Tales that aren't just about guns and grit, but about hearts, hope, and healing beneath the open sky. After that night, nothing went back to exactly how it was, but you couldn't say everything changed either. Some days were peaceful, walking through the valley with Sonia, sunlight filtering through the leaves, the breeze gently swaying the tall grass, and for a moment, it felt like the whole world was listening to their quiet rhythm. But, as it often does in places marked by old wounds and heavy judgment, new challenges started creeping in, not from nature, but from the people around them. You know how it goes. Old neighbors still looked at Caleb with suspicion, like the man they once knew was suddenly someone else. Whispered rumors, sideways glances, stories half told about weakness or betrayal. Caleb heard it all. You think he didn't? But he chose not to answer. Some battles just don't need loud fights. One day, while Caleb was working the field, a group of men from town showed up, faces hard as stone, voices rough like dry desert winds. One of them, Jim, used to be a close friend, now a rival, stepped forward and stared right into Caleb's eyes. "Think you can change anyone? Maybe yourself, but don't expect to change this whole town." Caleb just looked at him. No words. Jim kept going. "We don't want no difference around here, especially not coming from someone like her." Caleb still said nothing, just kept working. But inside, every word echoed like a relentless drumbeat. Then Sonia appeared, not beside Caleb, but standing right in front of those men. Her eyes cold, sharp like daggers. "That's enough," she said, voice steady and firm. "If you want to fight who I am, then I'm ready." Silence fell. The men didn't move. Sonia looked each of them in the eye, then slowly turned and walked away. Caleb saw something new in her that day. Not just quiet strength, but a fierce determination, like she was fighting for more than just herself. From that moment, what Caleb and Sonia had wasn't just comfort or warmth. It became a partnership standing firm against the darkness creeping over their small world. But, like every good story, peace never lasts. One fog-heavy morning, while Caleb was fixing a fence, he spotted a strange wagon parked near the house. A man he didn't recognize stepped down, eyes cold and smile thin as a razor. "Caleb Warner?" the man asked, voice low and heavy. "That's me," Caleb replied, wary. "I'm from the city. Got an offer you can't refuse." Can you guess what that offer was? A plan to develop the land, threatening to tear apart the fields and woods where Caleb and Sonia found their quiet, or a chance for a new life, forcing Caleb to choose between the past and the future. The story's just getting started, and the answers aren't simple. But one thing's sure, Caleb and Sonia aren't alone anymore. They've become symbols of courage, love, and standing up to injustice. What do you think? Will they keep their fire alive when the storm comes? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your take on justice, right and wrong, and the conflicts people face chasing happiness. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next part, where secrets come to light and the story twists even further.